I'm Christy. Today I want to talk about how I'm hoping the end is in sight. A lot has happened since I last wrote an update on our SSI saga. And while I'm not holding my breath, I think the end may well be in sight. After over 5 months of waiting on a 4 to 6 month wait, I'm just hoping that it won't be much over the 6-month mark. As I suspected, I never heard whether or not SSI received AJ's IEP. Now, regardless, the information they got or didn't get wasn't from approved providers, so we had to see some of their approved doctors. 2 weeks ago, we visited with a medical doctor and a psychologist. One of them stated that he would submit his report and we should hear back in 2 to 3 weeks. Now, interestingly, and rather annoyingly, I received paperwork telling me about the psychologist appointment about 2 weeks ahead of time. The packet included some information on when and where the appointment took place, along with some paperwork I had to return to them and some general appointment information. Okay, I can deal with that. About a week later, I received 2 appointment reminders. One for the psychologist appointment that I knew about, and one for a medical doctor I had no information about. I faxed our adjudicator stating that we would make the appointment, but they wouldn't be receiving any information or confirmation from me because I hadn't received any information about the appointment, which was 5 days away, including a weekend. The next day, I received the medical information packet. So I faxed the necessary paperwork back in time, and we went to both appointments. Now, of course, neither doctor could tell me what they were going to put in their report. I'm hoping that AJ gave them an accurate picture of who he is so that their reports reflect how and why AJ qualifies immediately and without having to appeal. Honestly, I'm not concerned about him qualifying. I'm concerned about how much of a battle it'll be to convince the powers that be that he qualifies. Since AJ saw these 2 doctors in person and directly answered their questions himself, I hope that he'll be approved immediately. Now, we've made progress in other areas as well. Last week we had a meeting, online, with our rep from the organization that will help us find a job for AJ. It looks like the timing is perfect. We have leads and time to find a job while he completes his job skills program he's in. And it appears that we should be able to find a job before he ages out of that program. Fingers crossed. We also have we had an appointment as the post went live this week with our rep from the organization that will be helping us to find housing as well as assist in the job hunt. I've already been warned that the waiting lists are extra long due to COVID. Now, evidently, many of these organizations have lost a big chunk of their staff and they're having trouble filling those open spots. So we're going to have to see what that means for us. But it'll be nice to get the ball rolling and to have an idea of where AJ might end up. I'm also going to ask about the possibility of moving him out of state to a living community. While I'm not 100% convinced we'll go this route, we're not ready to rule out this option just yet, especially if their waiting lists are shorter than those in our area. Now, gratefully, once we complete these steps, the last hurdle will be completing a special needs trust. And I have a tentative plan in place to get that accomplished as well. So it'll be really nice to get all of these things done and wound up here in the near future. It's about stinking time. But it'll also be nice to know that AJ is set up to live independently from us should anything unforeseen happen. So what have I learned from this process? Here's a few things that come to mind. 1, persistence does indeed pay off. Because I've persisted, albeit sporadically, the end is in sight. Soon, all of these transitions will be complete, and AJ will be set up to live independently and survive should the unforeseen happen to us. Secondly, we often mentally turn molehills into mountains. While this process with SSI has been irritating and annoying, it hasn't been nearly as overwhelming as I built it up in my mind. If I had pushed through years ago, I could have completed this process and moved things along more quickly. Third, government bureaucracy is a pain in the butt, no matter which part you're dealing with. Okay, I'm kind of joking here, but I'm also completely serious. My frustration and irritation rose when I was told that I needed to provide requested information within 10 days, or actually less than 10 days. It appears unfair and frustrating that the school district had nearly a month to respond to a similar request. Now, SSI recognizes that their request is a low priority item to the district, but they didn't hesitate to insist that I respond nearly instantaneously. Okay, stepping off that soapbox now. Finally, patience and humor make the waiting more bearable. Patience and humor have allowed me to roll with the ups and downs of this application process. My irritation and frustration rose quite high at times, but as I found aspects to laugh about amidst the frustration, It provided a perspective shift that allowed me to remain positive and relatively patient as I wait for things to process through at a snail's pace. So here's to hoping that we have an answer by the 6-month mark. Again, I'm not holding my breath, but I think I see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I'm quite relieved. So my question for you this week is this. What progress are you seeing along your big journey? I'd love to hear an update from you. You can leave me a comment below, or you can leave me a comment over on the blog. That's at www.havenofhopeforme.com. This originally posted in March of 2022. If you prefer, you can also email me at Christy, CHRISTY, at havenofhopeforme.com. I'm still waiting as patiently as I can so that I can continue to say that life is good and there is never a dull moment.